The one other technique I really did want you guys to practice was the softened edges. And that's primarily because we're going to be doing a lot of softened edges in next lesson. And also because it's a useful thing to know how to do. So on here, I'm going to, I already see a bristle trying to come out of this brush. Is there new brushes? Not impressed so far. Golden maple, maybe not. Okay, anyway. I'm going to give myself a mountain range here. My paper was dry. I did not wet it first. I just did a pretty wet brush, so this would be wet on dry. My paper was very dry, my brush was very wet. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to clean off my brush, get it nice and thirsty. I'm gonna start just below it with kind of a thirsty brush. I'm just going to kind of push that water up into there until I am happy with my gradient and it's not not super abrupt. Just softened the edge there so there's not like a definitive hard edge, and we'll come in and do another layer on that as soon as it dries. We're gonna come put another layer here on our softening the edges, and really this is just to help you practice it. My paper is dry. I have a fairly wet, oh dear, I'm gonna sneeze and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, maybe I can edit all that out. Anyway, paper is dry, my brush has a lot of pigment and water on it, and I'm making my mountains, and I'm trying to kind of make it look like there's trees, so I'm kind of using my brush to kind of give it that look of trees, hopefully. Yeah. And then I'm just going to kind of work that down onto my paper. You can see I'm kind of doing more of a kind of dabby looking thing. I don't have any clean water anymore, so I'm getting the cleanest water I have. I'm starting with my water down here below my color and using kind of this circular dabbing motion. I'm going to come up into my paint, soften that edge so that it doesn't have that hard edge. I want my brush thirstier than that. There we go. I'm happy with that. You can see I now have kind of a gradient all along here instead of a hard, this is where the watercolor paint is and here's where my paper is. This is a really useful and fun effect. Okay, we're gonna do another layer. Maybe that's not dry yet. We'll do another layer here. I'm gonna show you how this can be really cool. So I've just been using my Viridian hue over here. I get just stuck my finger in a bunch of that. Again, my paper is dry. My brush is pretty wet. I'm going to make my pine trees here. Not happy with the pine trees I'm getting. Too uniform, right? Right, I'm going to clean my brush off. Get a little bit of clean water on there. Start beneath, and you can see how I just introduced that little bloom in there by adding water. Right. Soften that edge. And it's little circular motions, and it is dabbing and kind of exploring whether the dry brush or a wet clean brush is going to be more what you're looking for. I want to change brushes really quick, but I don't know where my brushes are, so give me a second. All right, so I've got a different brush, much finer brush. I am going to take that green, put it up here, and I'm going to add a little ultramarine to it, just to give it a little bit darker of a hue. And I'm going to try some pine trees. Usually the first time I try a pine tree, the first couple times I try a pine tree in a day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to paint pine trees. But I get there in the end. So we'll see. I'm going to start with that kind of centery line. Do kind of my diagonal lines out. And there are different tutorials you can find depending on the type of pine tree you want to paint. You know, there's all sorts of different pine tree silhouettes here. Not loving this one, but I'm okay with it. Try something else here. Ooh, that got... Okay, well, it's a... this style of pine tree I would call just kind of move my brush back and forth across my center line. Some different options there, but I don't like having only two because your brain likes odd numbers. So I'm just going to put another one over here. And then I'm going to get my brush wet, clean water, and come up, and I'm going to get it a little more thirsty than that. Anyway, if I can show that to you guys nice and close, we have a pretty serviceable forest, misty forest scene here. I probably would have put one more layer back here if I'd been really honest about it. I just kind of want to see if I can put something else right here. I don't like how blank that is. So bear with me here. I'm gonna come and take this and try and add something into the background. Generally, you always want to work back to front and never try and do what I'm trying to do now. Plan better than me. Do I really hate this? So yeah, I may have like really just messed this up. Why can't I make that shape look like it's an actual thing? Do you guys have any suggestions? Well, mess around, find out. And I just found out. Maybe if I added some other color in here to kind of help differentiate it from what's behind it. Well, I can't say I'm happy with what I just did right there, but you don't know unless you try, right? Whatever, it is what it is. What I really want to do is take some of that away, so I am cleaning my brush, getting it dry, and kind of soaking some of that up. Whatevs. I did not improve it.